Hello, let's do the New York Times Medium Sudoku for April 27th, 2024. For my medium solves, I do use a systematic method to help teach what the most important things to scan for are first, and in what order. Of course, you do not have to follow the same systematic method, but if you are new to Sudoku or you're new to learning this method, I do recommend trying to follow along at least a few times. If you want to see what a more hybrid version of this solve looks like using the same methodology, just a little bit more flexible in order, you're welcome to also watch my New York Times hard solves. All right, so with that said, there is a link in the description to use the same software as me. It is a web-based software called Sudoku Pad and completely free. There's a link to play this puzzle in there. And I'm going to get started right now. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go band by band. A band is a row of 3 boxes. This is a box, this is a cell, this is a box, and this is a band. And this is a row, this is a column. Those are basically the words you need. I may also use the word house. A house is a row, a column, or a box. Basically, a house is a generic concept for a group of 9 cells that can't repeat. You must have 1 to 9 ones each in every house. All right, so the first thing we're looking for in a band is when a digit appears 2 times, exactly 2 times. So I'm going to start here in this box here because it has the fewest digits placed in it. And I'm going to compare it against the other 2. So I'm looking for a 3 in this box and this box, and I don't see any. Now I just need to compare this box to this box. And so it's 1, 4, and 9, and I still don't see any. So there's actually no repeated digits here. We're about to move on, but before moving on, there's 2 more things to look for. First, you're going to look for if any of the rows are filled. So you see how this column is filled? We'll deal with that later, but if any of the rows are filled, we want to deal with that now. They are not. And finally, if there's any row or box that has 4 or fewer open cells. This has 5 open cells. This also has 5 open cells, this row. So I don't see any rows or boxes with 4 or fewer open cells. So really, there's nothing to do with this top band, so we move on. So it happens sometimes. It's rare, but it happens. All right, so now we're going to do this 2, 6. We look for a 2 or a 6 in the other 2 boxes, and we actually do find a 6. So what does this do? Well, it affects the box that they aren't in. So you can think about this a couple of ways, but probably the easiest is just the effect these 6s have on this other box. So this 6 removes 6 from these 3 cells. We say it looks into the box. We use the word see or look for a digit that's affecting the rest of its row, column, or box. It sees into this box. This 6 sees into the box this way, or looks in, if you prefer, removing the 6 from these 6 cells. Just a coincidence that 6 would remove from 6. It always is going to remove from 6 cells when we find a repeated digit. And then we look at the other 3 cells. So basically this box does need a 6, and it's not in these 6 cells. So it must be in these 3 cells somewhere. But we see that this is an 8 and this is a 4. Can't put a 6 on top of those. So there's actually only 1 cell left in this box that can be 6. So it must be 6 because we must have a 6. And so that's called a hidden single. If you want the full name, we would say this is a hidden single 6 in box 5, which makes it very explicit that we looked in box 5. We label those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So box 5 is this middle one. It was a hidden single 6 in box 5, tells us that we found 1 cell in box 5 that could be 6, and so we placed a 6 there. Okay. So now we want to look for more repeated digits. So we look at this 6 and 9. The 6 we already found. The 9 has no repeated digits. Okay, but before moving on, remember we want to look for filled rows or boxes. Or sorry, filled rows. So filled rows, this one's got filled because we placed the 6, but that doesn't matter. It is filled. So what we want to do is we can kind of think about there being fake or I don't know if fake is the right word, but we want to think about there being virtual buddies. Be maybe a better way to put it, for within this row. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at the 2 rows that aren't the filled one and aren't in that box. Don't care about any empty cells. Don't care about any digits that are already placed in the box, but we do see this 9 here. So what is this 9 doing? Well, we can think of it as having a virtual buddy 9 over here. And I purposely picked the box that isn't the filled one and isn't the one where the 9 is, but it is the row that was the filled one. And now why is that the case? Well, remember what a 9 over here would do. A 9 over here, like let's say there was a 9 placed right here. Actually, spoiler, there will be. But if there was a 9 placed right here, that would take 9 out of these 3 cells, and it would be a buddy for this 9. Well, we can kind of think about that as having already happened because these 3 cells already aren't 9. They're filled with 4, 6, and 8. So we have a virtual buddy 9 over here that takes 9 out of these, and then this 9 takes 9 out of these 3. And so these 6 cells are not 9, so we're left with 9 in one of these 3 cells. We look, we see this can't be 9 because there's a 7 there. And we also see this 9 up here. We're going to scan up and down for 9s. This is the only time we're really scanning up and down in this first phase, or scanning in the opposite direction of what we're supposed to be in the direction we're looking. Right now we're looking at the bands. We do want to scan up and down for 9s here. We see that there's a 9 that takes 9 out of this cell. So there's a hidden single 9 in box 5 right here. We must place this 9. Now, what you will find is now that you have found where the 9 goes in this box, there is actually a real buddy, and it is where we thought the virtual buddy would be, and that's always going to happen. So actually, you can always think of it as, and it's because there's a sort of a direct proof of this, which is this row 4 needs a 9. We count from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. So row 4 needs a 9. And this 9 here says not in these 3 cells, because we can't repeat a 9 in the box, and these are filled with non-9s. So that does actually force there to be a buddy 9 in this row somewhere over here. So you will find that buddy, and so the buddy 9, but you can also just see that these 2 9s look into the box, take it out of these 6. This 2 is not a 9, and this 9 way down here tells us this isn't a 9, because you can't repeat 9 in the column. So that places a hidden single 9 in the box right here. Very nice. Okay, so now continue looking for filled rows. That was the only one, and this was the only digit for that filled row that we could use. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to look for rows or boxes that are down to 4 or fewer open cells. And I see 2 of them. First, I see this row. It is down to 4 digits, right? 4 open cells means it's down to 4 digits. What are those 4 missing digits? They are the 1, 3, 5, and 7. We're just going to think about 1, 3, 5, 7. We're going to look to see if any of those are restricted in these cells. So for example, this cell on the left can't be 7. So we can actually center mark, go into center mark mode, and go 1, 3, 5. Now, what are we using center marks for? That's to contrast with corner marks, which normally by this time in our systematic method, we would have done some corner marks, but just we got a little bit of a strange order here in what we found first. But center mark mode, what we're going to use that for is to tell us that that specific cell has been reduced to only those candidates. So in this case, in the final solution of our puzzle, whatever that looks like, there's only one solution to every Sudoku that's published. Intentionally, there's only ever one solution so that you can solve it logically. And in that one solution, this cell will be a 1, 3, or 5. We don't know which one, but we know it'll be one of those 3 because it will have a digit. And the only digits available now are 1, 3, and 5 because it can't be a 2, it can't be a 4, it can't be a 6, it can't be 8, it can't be 9, right? And it can't be 7 because of the column. So it is down to 1, 3, or 5. Whenever we get a cell, we notice that a cell is down to 3 or fewer candidates, we're always going to center mark that to remember it. And that's going to help us find things like triples, pairs, and triples later. Or just naked singles once those get whittled down. Okay, the rest of the row, we do need 1, 3, 5, 7. This cell can't be 7, so it's also 1, 3, 5. This cell can't be 1 or 5, so it's down to 3, 7. And this cell could be any of 1, 3, 5, 7. Since that's 4 digits, we're not going to mark it. Okay, but we also have this box. This box has been reduced to 1, 2, 3, 5. So this is 2, 3, 5 because of the 1. But these are any of those. We're not going to mark it. Okay, and now we are done with that band. That's everything we needed to find. So let's move on to the next band here. So start by finding duplicates. We start with the box with the fewest givens just to save ourselves some time. So we're looking for a duplicate 7, and we find one here. Those look in here. This 7 looks down. This isn't 7. Hidden single 7 in this box. A lot of hidden singles in boxes today. So that was the duplicate 7. Any other duplicates? Well, we compare this 1, 5 over here, and we see the duplicate 1. They look into this box. This one looks down. Now there's a 1 in one of these two. This is the first time we've encountered it. I'm surprised it took us to the third band to find this. But there's going to be two situations. One is you're going to find a hidden single, which we've been finding as we go when we find these duplicates. That's the luckiest situation. If you're not as lucky, then you'll be down to 2 or 3 cells in the box. So out of these 3 cells, in this case, we're down to 2 because we did have this 1 up here. And in those cases, we're going to use corner marks. So I've corner marked a 1 into these two cells. This is not a comprehensive list of everything that these cells can be. The corner mark instead is a comprehensive list of cells in the box that can be that value. So in this box, the 1 has been limited to exactly these two cells. In the final solution, the 1 will be here, or the 1 will be here, so that the box gets a 1. We don't know which one it is, but it'll be in one of those, and we use the corner marks to designate that. It comes in handy for several reasons. One, it can designate pointing if that's something that's happening, which we'll go over when we find that. And it can also just be useful for if we eliminate one of these ones in any way, then we can place the other one as a hidden single one immediately without rescanning the box and finding that again. That's what notation is good at. It's good at helping you remember what you've already found so you don't have to find it again. Okay. And so now we want to look for that. That's all the repeats. There's no repeated 5. So we want to look for any filled rows, none of those, and any rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer. This box is down to 5, so we don't need to look at that. And so yeah, that's it. So now we're just going to repeat the exact same thing we just did, but we're going to do it in the stacks instead. So starting with this 3, look for a duplicate 3. Don't see any. Look for duplicate 2, 6, 9. We do have a duplicate 9. Those look up. This 9 over here looks in. We can corner mark 9s in one of these two. 2 and 6 do not have a buddy. All right. I do see something we could do. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to find that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to find that later. But the thing we can do is we can see that this 2 looks down, and then gets us pointing 2s here. I don't think it's super important for the solve right now. And I'm not sure that fits in with things I'm telling you to look for in this first pass. The second pass around, I definitely will tell you to look for things like that, though. But we only do the second pass if the first pass doesn't solve the puzzle. So we're going to move on from here. That's all we found. Oh, wait, there is a column down to 4 cells, so we can do that. So we need the 2, 4, 5, and 7. Well, this can't be 4 or 7, so this is down to 2, 5. This can't be 2, so it's 1, 4, 7. Oh, it's not 1 either. Sorry, not 1. What did I say? 2, 4, 5, 7. So this is down to 4, 5, 7. I lost track of what digits they were. 2, 4, 5, 7. This one's not 7s. 2, 4, 5. It's not 2 either because of the box. And this one's not 7 either. So what did I notice as I went through? I said not 7 a lot. And in fact, there's only one cell in this column that can be 7. So this 7 sees here, this 7 sees here, and this 7 sees here. So what that means is, and when we say 2 cells see each other, all we mean is that they can't be the same digit as each other, right? So that leaves just this 7 here. So there must be a 7 in this column, and this is the only cell that can be. So this is a hidden single 7 in column 3. And hidden just means we're looking at where a digit can go within a house. That would be a hidden technique. Naked techniques are dealing with our center mark candidates, where we're going by cell-centric scanning. All right, so we place that 7. What do we need to do? Well, when we place a digit, we need to follow up. And what we follow up on is anything that we've already finished scanning. So we already scanned this band, but now this 7 could change the story in several ways. So the first thing it changes is we do now have a buddy for this 7 over here. So these 7s look in, and both of these 7s look up, and that lets us place this 7 here. I am noticing that we're almost done with 7s. We have 7 out of 9 placed. So I'm curious just where the 7 goes in these. If you ever notice that where you've just placed a lot of a digit, it doesn't hurt to just look, where are the other places this digit goes? There's only 2 boxes without a 7. We do have this 7 looking up, this 7 looking in. So we can actually place this 7. Oops, if I can type the right thing. Place this 7, and then now that affects this box here, and it places the final 7. So we finished all our 7s. We're going to follow up on this. I guess the follow up here is to put 1, 3, 5 into this cell, because it is now down to 3 open cells in this row. Okay, so that was a very good follow up on this 7 here. Did that cause any rows to fill up? And did it cause any rows or boxes to be down to 4 or fewer open cells? It does not appear to have done that. So that is the follow-up we needed to do for that 7. And that was placed by looking at this column, which was down to 4 open cells, and we found that one of them, the 7 could only go in one of them. All right, so now I do believe we can move on from this stack. You may or may not notice this too. If you notice it, you might as well use it, but I'm going to pretend we didn't notice that because it's not something we're explicitly looking for at this moment. Okay. Next, we know 7s are done. We're going to find a 7 in every box. So if you can remember to ignore 7, that can save you a little bit of time. So I'm just going to pair these two boxes against each other. We need 1, 4, and 9. So 9 is the 4 and the 9 are repeated. So we have these two 4s looking down. So we can corner mark 4s here. And these two 9s look down. This 9 looks in. We can corner mark 9s here. Okay. So anything else I see? Okay, so we're looking for filled columns. And we're looking for columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer. We already looked for boxes down to 4 or fewer when we did the bands. But it doesn't hurt to just recheck this. This is 2, 3, 5, 8. Or sorry, not 8. 1, 2, 3, 5. Still can be any of those. This column's down to 5. This column's down to a bunch. This column's, okay, so we can move on. And now here, let's start with this 1, 5. We don't care about the 7 because it's done. Start with the 1, 5. No duplicates there. There is something I'm noticing with it, but we'll get that in just a moment. And then the 6 and the 9, again, so the 6 does have buddy. So the 6 is looked down. That does place a 6 here. So follow up on that horizontally. Does it have a buddy 6? It does not. Does it fill up a row or a box to have 4 or fewer? It does not. Okay, so no follow up to do with that 6. And so now in this, that's all the buddies. Now in this column, in this stack, we're going to look for filled columns. So this column is filled. So what do we do? Now it's been a bit. We look at the 2 columns that it's not in the 2 boxes it's not in. We don't care about empty cells where we don't know the digits. We don't care about digits that are already placed in the box. But this 1, 5, okay, we don't care about the 6. The 1, 5, and 9 are interesting. So first, let's take this 1. This 1 looks in here, and that puts a 1 in one of these 2 cells. Now that is going to do something called pointing. Or if you want to think about it this way, remember there was a virtual buddy 1 over here. That virtual buddy is always going to be real. There's a real buddy 1 over here. How do we prove that? Well, these ones here are going to do something called pointing. Or you can just look at the column, right? But let's do the pointing first. So pointing is when the corner marks in a box all line up in the same row or column. You can kind of draw a line between them. And when you draw that line, you can continue drawing the line through the rest of that column. And that line's telling you none of the rest of the cells in this column can be a 1. And so we remove 1 from this cell. And if this cell was marked up in some way, we'd remove 1 from that as well. Or we just try to remember this can't be 1. Now, why? Well, in the final solution to the puzzle, this box needs a 1. It's going to be here, or it's going to be here. If it's here, these 2 cells aren't 1, or none of these cells are 1. If it's here, none of these cells are 1. So even though there are 2 possibilities, those possibilities have overlap in consequence. And the overlap is that this column can't have another 1 in it. So this is not a 1. Importantly, none of these are 1. And this one looks in saying none of these are 1. And that does give us our virtual buddy 1 over here. All right, so we also have the 5. The 5 looks in, it does the same thing. It puts corner mark 5s here. Those point down. That actually makes this a naked single 3 because it can't be 5 anymore. So this is a naked single. It's our first naked single in the puzzle. We have determined that this cell can only be a 3, so it must be a 3. And we've determined that through cell-centric center marking. So that's a 3. We can clean up the 3 from the rest of the row. But also remember this 1, 5 here. The 5s point down, saying these aren't 5. This 5 looks up, and that makes the 5 over here as well. Now we have 2 instances now of 2 corner marks overlapping in 2 cells that are the same exact 2 cells and not in any other cell. So you see how these 2 corner marks are identical to each other, and there's 2 corner marks in 2 cells. What we have found here is called a hidden pair. So think about what these mean. In this box, the 1 has been limited to these 2 cells, and in this box, the 5 has been limited to these 2 cells, and it's the same 2 cells. So in the final solution, one of them must be 1 and one of them must be 5. We don't know which is which, but if I try to put something else in here, like let's say I tried to put, trying to find a good digit. Actually, I think that, yeah, if I try to put 1, 2, 3, these might be naked 1, 5s as well. No, I could try to put a 4 here. So if I tried to put a 4 in this cell, there's no conflict in the row, there's no conflict in the column, there's no conflict in the box. But there is a conflict. We have broken the puzzle, and we've proven that because we need a 1 and a 5 in this box, and now they're both supposed to go in the same cell, and that's not going to work. We needed 2 cells for them, so we can't put anything else in here. So we can actually center mark 1, 5, which is more powerful than the corner mark 1, 5, so we can remove those. And this is a 1, 5 pair, and that 1, 5 pair would have also removed 1 and 5 from these cells, because that's what a pair does. Once you find 2 identical cells that share a house, the rest of that house cannot be those digits. Same thing here. This is a 1, 5 pair here as well. And so now we look and we see that this box has 3 open cells. We treat pairs and triples within a house as being occupied because we know where the 1 and 5 go. The 1 and 5 don't go here. So we are down to 3 digits. So they're not the 1 or the 2. They could be 3. They could be 4. They can't be 5, 6, 7, 8. They could be 9. And so this 3 removes 3 from here. This 4 removes 4 from here. This 9 removes 9 from here. Now, what does that do? That tells us that there's 2 cells left in this column. We always want to target the one with fewest remaining because, again, this 3, 4, 9, the 3, 4, and 9 will end up somewhere in these 3. One of them will be 3. So if this ends up 3 or 4, let's say it ends up 3. That makes this 9. That makes this 4. 3, 4, and 9 are up here. Only other option is this ends up a 4. That makes this a 9. That makes this a 3. 3, 4, and 9 are up here. Because these 3 cells can only be 3, 4, 9, they will be 3, 4, 9. So these cells are not 3, 4, 9 along with 1, 5, 6, 7. So what are the digits missing? The 2 and the 8. So we can fill these center marked with 2, 8. And now this is a naked single. It's also a hidden single, however you want to think about it. It's a full house if you prefer, because we know where the 1 is. It's in here somewhere. We know where the 2 is. We know where the 3 is. We don't know where the 4 is. None of these cells are allowed to be 4, so this cell must be the 4. So you can think of it as a hidden single. You can think of it as a naked single in that the 1, 5, and 2, 8 remove those from this cell. And so it can only be a 4 of all the digits possible. Either way, we place the 4 here. Follow up horizontally. First of all, we see that this is a naked single 5. That makes this a naked single 1 and a 5 here and a 1. Let's follow our red digits a little bit. This 5 looks up, making this a 2 and this a 4. That removes a 4 corner mark from this box. That's the first time we've seen that, but it does place the 4 in this box based on there only being 1 corner mark remaining. Now there's a lot to follow up on, and we need to try to remember as much as we can. So this 1, we can follow up, and we say we have that buddy 1 there, or if you prefer, this was filled anyway. And so that places the 1 here. That removes this corner mark 1, leaving only this cell as 1 for the box. That's a hidden single 1, which then makes this the hidden single 9. Because the 1 used up one of the nut plot spots we thought could be 9 and now can't be. This is now a 2, 3, 5 triple, which makes this an 8 because the rest of the row can't be 2, 3, or 5. This is a triple. The 2, 3, and 5 will end up somewhere in these 3 cells, including the 2. So that means that this is the 8 and this is the 2. This is a full house now. Always want to start with that. So this is not 1, 2, 3. This is the 4. Could have also seen buddy 4 is looking in. What are the 2 digits left in this box? Well, we need a 3 and we need a 8. 3 and 8. So we can center mark that. This band is what I call done because it only has horizontal pairs and triples left or otherwise filled cells. So we don't have to worry about scanning that band anymore. We do need to rescan the digits we got in this band, though. Don't forget about that. So the 4 has a buddy. They look in. This 4 looks down, placing this 4. This band, we placed the 9 and the 1. The 9 does have a buddy, and this 9 looks down, placing this 9. This is now a full house. As soon as you see a full house, just finish the last digit. This is a 3. 2 digits left in this box. What are they? They are the 2 and 8. So this 8 tells us this isn't 8, so the 8 goes here, and that's the 2. All right, this row is down to 2 digits. Always good to think about that. We need the 3 and the 6. 3 and 6. Okay, I'm going to center mark that. I don't see how it's resolved. This row is down to 3 digits. I'm wondering if we have any buddies that we can do first. The 1, 7, 9, 8, 4. Okay, the 8 has a buddy. Yeah, and that places a hidden 8 in here. Hiddens are often easier to do than trying to center mark everything. To get the hiddens first. The 4, so we have all 3 1s in the row. We have all 3 8s. We have all 3 4s, all 3 7s, all 3 9s. 1, 4, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so we don't know about the other digits, but the other 4 digits are going to be the same in all 4 of these. So let's just save a little bit of time and think about what are the 4 digits that aren't accounted for in this whole entire band. They are the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 6. That's it. We have the 7, 8, 9, and the 4. So now we can just clean this up. This 3 in this row tells us none of these are 3, right? This 2 looking down tells us these aren't 2. This 6 looking in tells us these aren't 6. And now we can see we have this 3, 5, 6 triple here, or if you prefer, in this box, 2 has been limited to only one cell. And so that places the 2 here. Notice we could have had that a little bit earlier if we had noticed this 2 looking down, putting a 2 in one of these 2 cells. And once we placed this 4, we would have been able to place the 2. But we didn't need to do that in this case. We didn't need to find that. There's a 2 in one of these 2. We're down to this 3, 5 pair, 3, 6 pair, and then this 2, 3, 5 triple here. So yeah, this band is basically done. It's not technically fully done because these can still affect each other in some way. But yeah, so we're good. This 3, 5, 6 triple, though, removes 3, 5, 6 from the rest of the column. So this can't be 3, so it must be 8, and that makes this 3. Let's follow up. We did scan this column, this stack already, so we need to follow up on it. Let's look for duplicates first. So we have all these 8s looking in. So there's an 8 in one of these 2. I'm just looking for duplicates between these 2 because this is the only box we don't know about in terms of singles or corner marks. So this 1 looking in does give us a 1 in one of these 2. These are just down to triples. It's going to end up just being those triples. So we don't really need to do this. Let's just do the triples. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 5, 6, and 8. So I'm just gonna fill them and then clean them up, and we don't need the corner marks. Here we need the 1, 4, and 9. I see that this cell can't be 1 or 4, so it's going to be a naked 9. And then we are left with a 1, 4 pair here, which actually is going to resolve in a moment because this 9 resolves this triple. This is 3, 4, and 9. This 4 looks over, giving us 1 and 4. That 1 looks over, giving us 5 and 1. That does remove 5 from this cell. And now I'm just down to like some pretty easy rows here. This row is down to 5 and 8, but this can't be 8. So that's the 5, that's the 8, resolves this triple. That 5 also removes 5 from here and here. We now have a 2, 3 pair in this column, or rather, where does 6 go in the column? That goes here. Always good to notice those things when you clean something up immediately rather than having to find it again. That resolves this triple. It also resolves this 5. It does not resolve the 2, 3 pair yet. This 5 does look up, though, and now where does 5 go? It goes here. These 2, 3 pairs are going to be resolved by this box. We have 4 digits left in this box. When you're down to something like this, sometimes it's easier just to think about what those 4 digits are. We do need a 2, which is going to go up here somewhere. I'm just going to use center marks for this because we're going to use all 4 digits. We do need a 3. The 3 is going to go down here somewhere. We have the 4, 5. We need a 6. This 6 looks in, and we should have another 6 looking in. We do. And so that places the 6, which then leaves only one place for 2. And that resolves all of our 2, 3s here. Only one place for 3, and then the 8 is the final digit. All right, so we did end up finishing the puzzle before we finished our first pass on bands and stacks. That's going to happen a lot in mediums. It's going to happen a lot less often in hards. So do watch my hard solves if you want to see how to follow up or how to continue when the initial scan does not finish the puzzle. But I think for the mediums, this initial scan is going to solve maybe 80% of them from my experience so far. So yeah, let me know how you did on this. And of course, if you enjoyed it, then why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.